Libra, you don't yet know the full shape of what is coming, and that the not yet knowing is actually the most beautiful part of where you stand right now. There is something arriving in your life that is going to feel, when it fully lands, less like something that happened to you and more like something that finally caught up with you. Like the universe has been quietly assembling pieces behind a curtain you couldn't see behind, and what is about to be revealed is not a surprise so much as a confirmation of everything you allowed yourself to hope for in your most private moments, when no one was watching and you let yourself imagine what a genuinely good life might actually feel like. Not a perfect life. You have never been someone who needed perfection, but a life that feels settled, solid, warm in the places that used to feel cold, stable in the places that used to tremble. That life is not a fantasy anymore. It is becoming an address. And I mean that in every sense of the word. There is a shift happening in your physical world, in the literal, tangible, material landscape of where and how you live, that is going to change the quality of your daily experience in ways that ripple far beyond the practical. Because for Libra, home is never just a place. It is never just walls and a roof and a set of rooms. Home for you is a feeling. It is the feeling of being able to exhale, of walking through a door and having the environment itself receive you softly, beautifully, in alignment with who you are. Home for Libra is sanctuary in the truest sense. It is the space where the careful composure you maintain in the outside world gets to dissolve, where you don't have to be gracious or diplomatic or considered, where you can simply be in whatever unedited form you happen to be in that particular moment. And for some time longer, perhaps, than you have fully allowed yourself to acknowledge, the space you have been living in has not been giving you that feeling. It may have been functional. It may have been adequate. It may even have had moments of beauty, because you are Libra and you will find beauty in almost any environment and coax it into fuller expression. But adequate is not the same as right. Functional is not the same as nourishing. And the space where you rest, where you wake, where you begin and end each day matters to you in a way that goes straight to the center of your well-being. When that space doesn't truly fit you, you feel it everywhere in your sleep, in your creativity, in the low-grade tension that settles into your body when your surroundings are out of harmony with who you are. That tension is on its way out. What is moving toward you carries the energy of a genuine homecoming, not a return to something you've had before. This is not about going backward, but a homecoming in the sense of arriving, perhaps for the first time in your adult life, somewhere that feels unambiguously, uncomplicatedly yours. A space that reflects your taste, your needs, your rhythm, a space where the light falls in ways that please you, where there is room, actual physical room, for the life you are building rather than the life you have been managing. Where you can close the door at the end of a day and feel in your body the specific relaxation of someone who has come home to a place that genuinely belongs to them. This is not small. For Libra, this is enormous. Because the home is where everything else originates. Your creativity, your emotional equilibrium, your capacity to love and be loved, your ability to do the work that matters to you. When the home is right, everything else has better ground to grow from. And what is coming is right in a way that previous chapters simply were not. But the shift in your physical world is only one dimension of what is unfolding, and in some ways it is the most visible dimension of something far more expansive. Because alongside the movement toward a new home or a transformed living situation, there is a financial current running through your life right now that is gathering real momentum. And this current has a different quality than the financial energy you have experienced in recent seasons. It is not the energy of just getting by. It is not the energy of temporary relief. It is the energy of something accumulating steadily, methodically, with the particular kind of quiet power that precedes genuine stability. Stability. That word deserves a moment of its own, because it carries a weight for you that other people might not fully appreciate. You present so effortlessly. You carry yourself with such ease and elegance that the people around you often assume your life is equally smooth beneath the surface. They see your composure and read it as evidence of a life that is working. And so the financial instability, the uncertainty, the months or seasons where the numbers were tighter than you let anyone see, you navigated most of that alone. In your characteristically graceful way, you kept the difficulty quiet, found workarounds, made things appear more manageable than they were, and continued showing up for the people around you as though your own foundation was perfectly solid. But you knew, and the effort of maintaining that appearance of performing stability while privately managing instability has been exhausting in a way that sits deep in the body, in the jaw, in the shoulders, in the way you sometimes wake at a certain hour with a specific kind of alertness that has nothing to do with rest and everything to do with worry wearing a quiet disguise. That exhaustion is lifting, not all at once. Real financial stability arrives in layers, and you are someone who understands that deeply, but it is lifting. The foundation beneath your feet is becoming more solid, and you are beginning to feel it even if you cannot yet see the full shape of it. Something has shifted in the energetic current of your financial life, and what is following that shift is the material evidence of it, money moving in new directions toward you. Opportunities opening that were previously closed. A recognition of your value in professional contexts, in creative contexts, in the various arenas where your extraordinary abilities have been operating that is beginning to translate into something concrete. You are going to receive something that surprises you with its size, its significance. It may arrive as a single windfall, or it may arrive as the convergence of several streams suddenly flowing in the same direction at once, creating a volume of resource that feels almost startling after the relative drought of what came before. And the surprise you feel in that moment, the slight disbelief, the instinct to check whether it is really real, the almost hesitant quality of receiving something so much larger than what you have been accustomed to, that response is completely understandable. But I want you to hear this clearly. It is real. It is yours. And you are allowed to simply receive it without immediately justifying your worthiness of it. Because here is something you need to know about yourself. Something that your sign sometimes resists knowing. You are not someone who needs to earn abundance through suffering. You have absorbed, somewhere along the way, a belief that good things must be preceded by difficulty, that the scale of the blessing must be proportionate to the scale of the struggle that came before it. And so, when something arrives that feels genuinely generous, genuinely large, genuinely more than just enough, your first instinct is sometimes to wonder what you must have missed, what cost is coming, what the catch is. There is no catch. There is only the universe operating, as it always eventually does, in alignment with the energy you have been consistently putting out. You are generous. You are thoughtful. You are someone who genuinely considers the well-being of others in almost everything you do. You create harmony in spaces that would otherwise be in conflict. You bring beauty to things that would otherwise be ordinary. You show up with care and intelligence and an almost uncanny ability to give people exactly what they need in exactly the form they can receive it. These are not small contributions to the world. These are the kind of contributions that generate a return, a deep, significant, life-altering return, and that return is in motion right now. Now let's talk about what this financial shift makes possible, because this is where something genuinely extraordinary begins to unfold for you. The new home or the transformed home, the upgraded home, the home that finally feels like an expression of who you actually are, is within reach in a way it hasn't been before. And this matters on a level that your practical mind might initially try to reduce to logistics, to square footage and lease terms and moving timelines. But the spiritual dimension of what a new home represents for you right now is worth sitting with. It represents permission. Permission to take up a particular kind of space in the world. To say, through the act of building a home that truly fits you, that you intend to stay, that you are not just passing through your own life but are genuinely, committedly inhabiting it, that you deserve a beautiful environment not as a luxury but as a baseline, as the natural expression of a self that knows its own worth and is no longer willing to live in spaces that contradict it. There is a version of your daily life that you are going to find yourself living before long, and when you find yourself inside it, you are going to be struck by how different it feels from where you have been. Not dramatically different in every external detail. You will still be you, doing the things you do, moving through the world in your particular way. But the quality of everything will have shifted. The quality of your mornings, because you will wake somewhere that feels right. The quality of your evenings, because you will come home to something that restores you rather than simply sheltering you. The quality of your creativity, because when you are not spending energy managing the discomfort of an environment that doesn't fit, that energy becomes available for the things that matter most to you. The quality of your relationships, because a Libra who feels genuinely settled at home is a Libra who has more to give, more freely and more joyfully to the people they love. And the happiness that the title of this message promises, it is not going to arrive the way happiness sometimes does in movies or daydreams. It is not going to arrive as a single dramatic moment of elation that announces itself with fanfare. It is going to arrive quietly, incrementally. It is going to arrive as a Tuesday morning where you make your coffee and stand in your own kitchen and feel, without any particular reason to feel it in that specific moment, that things are okay. That things are actually genuinely, sustainably okay. And then it is going to arrive again as a Sunday evening where you look at your life, the physical space of it, the financial reality of it, the relationships within it, and feel a warmth that you recognize distantly as contentment, not the restless, searching contentment of someone who has settled, but the deep, earned, spacious contentment of someone who has arrived. You don't yet know how happy you are going to be. That is not a critique of your imagination. Your imagination is vivid and rich, and one of your finest qualities. It is simply that the happiness coming toward you exists at a frequency you haven't had consistent access to in a while, and the human heart, in its wisdom, protects itself from fully anticipating what it hasn't yet been able to hold. But it is coming, it is real, and It is going to exceed what you have allowed yourself to hope for, in the specific and beautiful way that things exceed our expectations when we have been quietly, faithfully hoping for them for a long time. There is also a relational dimension to this shift that deserves its own space in this conversation, because the stability that is arriving is not only financial and not only environmental. It is also emotional, and for Libra, emotional stability, the feeling of being in relationships that are genuinely reciprocal, genuinely safe, genuinely nourishing, is as foundational as anything physical or financial. Without it, no amount of material abundance truly satisfies. With it, even modest circumstances feel abundant. The relationships that belong in the next chapter of your life, the ones that are going to be present as you step into this new version of your reality, are going to feel different from some of what came before. They are going to feel easier. Not in the sense of being shallow or unchallenging. You are far too deep a person to be nourished by anything that doesn't engage your full intelligence and sensitivity. But easier in the sense of being natural, mutual, in the sense of not requiring you to constantly manage the balance, to give more than you receive, to hold a dynamic together through the sheer force of your effort and grace. The relationships arriving alongside this new chapter are ones in which the reciprocity is built, in where you are seen and chosen and considered as a matter of course, not as something you have to earn or maintain through perpetual giving. This, for Libra, is perhaps the deepest gift of all, because you have spent a great deal of your emotional life making relationships work that required more effort than they returned. Not always, not in every case, but enough that a certain tiredness has settled into the way you approach intimacy, a kind of bracing, a holding back, a careful management of expectation that keeps the full warmth of your heart at a slight remove from the full reality of your connections. When you no longer need to do that, when the people around you are ones who meet you where you are, who bring their own equal effort to the shared space between you, the warmth that has been waiting behind that careful management is going to be remarkable, even to you. You are going to surprise yourself with how much love you are capable of when love is no longer costing you more than it gives. Something else is woven into what is arriving, and it is something that your sign specifically needs to hear right now. You are being asked to let yourself want this fully, without apology or qualification. Because Libra sometimes has a complicated relationship with wanting things for themselves, particularly things this tangible, this material, this direct, the new home, the financial security, the stability. These feel, to some part of you, almost too straightforward to be spiritual, as though wanting a beautiful home and a comfortable life is somehow less elevated than wanting growth or wisdom or love. But here is the truth. The physical comfort of your environment and the security of your financial foundation are not separate from your spiritual life. They are the ground your spiritual life grows from. They are the conditions that allow you to be your most expanded, most generous, most genuinely present self. Wanting them is not small, it is not materialistic, it is not a distraction from what matters. It is the deeply intelligent recognition that a Libra who lives in beauty and security is a Libra who has more light to give the world. So want it. Want the home that feels like you. Want the financial breathing room that lets you make choices from desire rather than necessity. Want the mornings that feel spacious rather than pressured. Want the evenings that feel peaceful rather than merely tired. Want the relationships that fill you rather than drain you. Want the version of your life that finally, completely reflects who you actually are, rather than who you have had to be in service of circumstances that no longer fit you. because all of that, every piece of it, is exactly what is coming. There is a version of you that already lives inside this reality. A future self who has already crossed the threshold into the life that is currently making its way towards you. And if you could feel what that version of yourself feels on an ordinary morning, in the home that finally fits, in the life that finally has the foundation it deserves, you would understand something that is difficult to articulate but deeply true. It was always going to be this. The difficulty, the waiting, the seasons of managing and adapting, and quietly carrying more than you should have had to carry, all of it was always pointing here. Not as punishment that leads to reward, but as a journey that leads to understanding. Understanding of what you actually need, of what you will no longer accept, of what your life is truly meant to feel like when the conditions are right. The conditions are becoming right now, in this season, in this particular unfolding of your particular story. You are going to have a home that feels like peace. You are going to have resources that feel like freedom. You are going to have relationships that feel like home in themselves, the portable kind of home that travels with you, that makes any room feel warmer simply because the right people are in it. You are going to have mornings where the first conscious thought of the day is not worry, but something softer, something closer to gratitude, to anticipation, to the quiet pleasure of a life that is genuinely working. You don't yet know how happy you are going to be, but you are about to begin finding out. And the gradual, beautiful daily discovery of what it actually feels like to live inside the life you deserve is going to be one of the greatest gifts this season has ever given you. Let it come. All of it. The home, the money, the stability, the ease, the relationships, the mornings, the peace. Let it come without shrinking it to a size that feels safer to believe in. Let it come in full. You have been faithful and patient and generous and quietly extraordinary for long enough. The universe knows exactly what you have given. And what is coming back to you is not a transaction, it is a recognition, a confirmation, a resounding, material, beautiful confirmation that the life you always believed was possible for you was never a delusion. It was always the destination, and you are almost there.